He may stand. Okay, we're going to start the meeting in a moment, so please take your seats. Thank you, sir. Okay, I would like to welcome everybody here tonight for the first Monday in January of our Community Development Committee meeting. I'm returning as chairman, Councilman Tom Callahan. I would like the members that are going to serve on the committee this term just to please introduce themselves to everyone. We'll start with Andrew.
Andrew Lippian, councilman for the First Ward.
Chad Schneider, council at large.
Donna Mitchell, Sixth Ward and Vice Chair.
Kenny Oswald, Fourth Ward.
All right, thank you. I'm glad Mrs. Mitchell did say Vice Chair, because if she didn't, I would have reminded everyone. Okay. A few items on the agenda tonight. We're going to start off with the approval of the regular CD meeting minutes from November 29th.
So moved.
Motion has been made.
Second.
Second by Mr. Oswald.
Call for the question.
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, next item is the matter of a request for a new liquor license for Speedway LLC, doing business as Speedway 3698, located at 990 East Broad Street, Elyria. This would be a permit class C1, C2, and D6. We did receive information from or inside the office of the clerk that there were no issues from Safety Service Director Brubaker, Police Chief Pelko, and Zoning Director Farkas. So that being the case, if there's no questions, I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, seeing that there are no issues, I will make a motion that the city does not request a hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Schneider.
Call for the question.
Call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Yes, yes, yeah. Congratulations. I know, you guys good. I got to delegate better. I got to. Yeah, I got to get my stuff. Okay, next item is the matter of a request for a new liquor license for Speedway LLC, doing business as Speedway 8556, located at 895 Lorraine Boulevard. Permit class C1, C2. Once again, no issues with concerns from Mr. Brubaker or Police Chief Pelko or Zoning Director Farkas. So I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, seeing that there are no issues, I'll make a motion that the city does not request a hearing.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Mitchell and seconded by Mr. Schneider.
Call for the question.
Call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
That's $100.
Yeah.
Okay. Repeat that one more time.
3379.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a trend here, folks. The next item is the matter of a request for a new liquor license for Speedway LLC, doing business as Speedway 3379, located at 710 Griswold Road. This would be permit class C1, C2, D6. Once again, Director Brubaker, Police Chief Pelko, and Zoning Director Farkas had no issues with this.
I move that the city does not request a hearing.
Okay, motion has been made by Mr. Snyder and seconded by Mr. Lippian.
Call
Question,
for the
Call for the
question.
question.
question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, next item is the matter of a request for a liquor license transfer from Al Lippian Temple 0223 to Grenadier Club 2, 1519 West Avenue Fraternity LLC, doing business as 1519 Club, located at 1519 West Avenue. This would be a permit Class D4. Once again, no issues with concerns from Mr. Brubaker, Police Chief Falco, or Director Farkas. Yes. I'm sorry, Mrs. Davis.
I'd like to ask the question of who owns these licenses? I see there's going to be a transfer from the fraternity there to the Grenadier. Who now are the owner of these licenses?
I'll refer to Law Director Deary.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this is Davis. I believe if the question you're answering is the current owner of the license is the Grenadier Club, and they're asking, or the transfer request is to go to new license owner, the 1519 Club, well, actually West Avenue Fraternity LLC. If you're asking who the property owner is, I don't have that in front of me, but that's something that I certainly can look up for you fairly, quickly after this meeting is concluded, if that's what you're asking. But as far as the license owner, right now it's the Al Lippian Temple 0223 Grenadier Club, doing business as Grenadier Club, the current owner, looking to transfer it. It looks to me like there's a, change of business, yeah. At 1519 West Avenue. Hence the need for the liquor license transfer.
Yeah, usually these cases, when this does happen, that means the business was sold. I'm not saying that verbatim for this particular instance, but it's usually what it means, that somebody else bought the business, but they're going to transfer the liquor license because they're kind of hard to come by because it's for that location.
Correct.
Right.
That's why I wanted to know who the owner was.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. And I'm going to ask a question I'm sure no one knows the answer to, but Mr. Brubaker, if you do, feel free to jump in. So it says on here that beer and any intoxicated liquor is to members only for on-premises consumption until 1 a.m. How do they guarantee check that it's members only? Are they checking membership at the door or when someone orders a drink? How does that happen?
Mr. Brubaker.
For you, Mr. Chairman, it would be similar to the VFW, the American Legion, where you have to have a card to get in or buzzed in. I've not personally been there, but that would be how it would be. That is already a club. The Temple Grenadier Club was already a club, and it's transitioning over to a different name. So the belief would be that they would be checking that at the door or at the. I mean, when they say the members only, and the law director can weigh in on this side. I don't know. You don't have to be a member of the Polish Club in order. You've got to be there with somebody, but you don't have to be a member to purchase a drink. So my belief would be very similar to this. I think that's designed to control who and what makes entry into that property.
Thank you.
Okay. Law Director Deary.
Yes, just for clarification, according to the county auditor's site, the owner of 1519 West Avenue is Al Lippian Temple number 223. So the property owner is remaining Al Lippian Temple, at least as the records stand. With the auditors, as current as they're able to be. Yeah, I mean, these private clubs, Ohio Division of Liquor Control, they do these checks. I mean, they do these checks at, again, the Polish Club, at the various veterans halls and things like that. So my understanding actually is at the United Polish Club is technically they will not actually, they reserve the right not to sell an alcoholic beverage. If you're there as a guest, you don't have the right to go up to the bar or order wings. You're there solely as a guest. You can consume, but assuming you're of age, but it's the member that actually has to procure the beverage and whatnot. And so a personnel from liquor control, does have the right to come in if there are complaints or issues or whatever, and the liquor license can be at issue if those rules are not complied with.
Okay, are there any other questions? They were all excellent questions. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I motion the city does not request the hearing.
The motion has been made by Mr. Snyder, second by Mr. Lippian.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, next item is the matter of a sound barrier study between Elyria residents and the Ohio Turnpike. This was referred to by Councilman Kenny Oswald, so you have the floor.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back in, I think they started in 2016. They requested at that time, Mark Craig, I believe, was the councilman at that time, and he actually got all the residents to sign a petition so that they could try to pass a resolution to get a study granted. At that time, I believe in the information I'm seeing, that they did contact the Turnpike to try to get the study, and it kind of just dropped off. The information I got is at that time, they didn't have enough money and funds to handle a project like that. They were saying how much it would cost, $1.5 million per mile stretch to do something like this. I don't know if it's a possibility we could try this again. So this has been, let's say, 6 years now, 5, 6 years. Maybe they have funds. And from the information, again, that I was reading, that they said that if falls on deaf ears, then maybe we can have a letter wrote to a representative that maybe would open up some ears. But I guess what I'm asking for is to try to get a study for this sound. And I believe if I could get one of the engineers to draft a letter stating the information, and if I have to get new signatures, I can do that. And if we can put together a letter, I guess that's what I'm asking for right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Mr. Oswald is correct. This went to utilities, I believe, in 2016. Mr. Craig did bring it forth. Mr. Snyder, I believe, was involved with this at that time. It's too long ago. I don't remember the outcome, but I know that I don't believe they ever did anything with it. I don't know if Mr. Snyder did a study at all, Mr. Oswald. I don't know. So I would say a good place to start with this is with engineering to see what, if anything, got done, and if nothing, or we can move forward from there.
I think that's an excellent idea. If there was a study, or if a study had begun, we could review that again. Law Director Deary.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would just note that I am reviewing this resolution from 2016, and although I certainly appreciate that it is, it was quite a few years ago, I don't see anything legally that there was any sort of expiration on it, or that anything has been exhausted in any ways. In fact, I think it's in full force and effect to this day. So if anything, I understand that the agenda item is you know, or the referral, I should say, was to refer the matter for a resolution. The council, and I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, is looking to take action by way of doing its own study, or looking to direct someone to, you know, obviously reach out to our legislators or to the Turnpike Commission. I do recall that at the time that our former engineer, Mr. Uvari, had connection. He obviously had previously worked for the Turnpike Commission, so he had some contacts there, and so I think the city was somewhat optimistic that perhaps he would be able to make some calls and maybe make some inroads. But I believe that this resolution is still valid. I don't think it hurts to pass another one, but I certainly don't think from a legal basis that it's necessary.
Okay.
So for my
Mr. Tollett. Oh.
Go ahead.
Mr. Tollett.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would volunteer to call Gail Manning, who is on the ODOT Commission on their board. So I would take that upon myself to do that on behalf of council, if that would be beneficial.
Yes, that would be beneficial, and we appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's a great idea if you can do that. And then also, if it's an open case, a follow-up with our engineer or somebody with the information. We're following up. We never got anything. We're told that there's depleted funds, maybe there's funds, and see if something can be done along with Gail Manning. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. I guess I'll only add one thing to this whole discussion. I'm a student of history, and I read a lot. And I don't want to bore you, but I've read in the past in the in the record in Elyria that when the Turnpike was being designed to come through Elyria, which it originally was not supposed to, but it did for economic development, and it worked out very well for 55 years, that the Turnpike Commission heard about this at the time, and the reason you see the slant from Abbey Road and how it goes underneath Gulf Road and then goes all the way under until the exit to Route 57, the reason for that at the time was to cut down on the noise. So, yes, Mr. Oswald.
It's funny you should say that because it's totally exactly correct. Because John Snyder told me once that you don't, when you have a road at this level, and you have, or homes at this level, and you had a road above, the noise goes over the top. It's not the other way around. When the road, or the road is below that, the noise, but this development is so high, I don't understand why it's getting so much noise, but Phil, it's loud, isn't it?
Well, and I think over the years, we all know that there's so much more traffic than it was back in the 50s. My gosh, there was 5 or 6 cars that went by an hour, you know. But obviously, times have changed, and I think to pursue this, and
so how can we direct somebody to make sure that this letter is taken care of and Phil gets his letter through there? Can we have a follow-up to make sure that this is done?
Absolutely. I think we should follow up on this. We can do it in 2 weeks, or we can do it in 4 weeks. Well, actually 3 weeks. 31st? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We meet here on Monday the 31st, and let's do it then. Okay. Let's keep this topic on the Ohio Turnpike. Next item is the matter of a study for a barrier between the Elyria residents and the Ohio Turnpike. Councilman Kenny Oswald.
Thank you. Okay, we got a call from somebody, and I'm missing my notes right now, but he lives on Lucille, and he had a car slide down towards his property, and he feels it's very dangerous where that area is. I actually bought a house on Ogden Drive, which backs up to the Turnpike, and I don't know if it was just after I bought it or just before it, but a truck slid down and ended up in a backyard of a home on Wesley. I did not, I apologize, have time. I was going to drive the road and get the mile markers and maybe kind of understand if there was a pitch to the road. For some reason or another, it doesn't seem that, this should be happening. I think here again, if this was a resolution to do the same thing, to do a study, and maybe if it's for the safety, you use that big word. Whenever you use safety, then maybe they have, take a little bit more challenge of taking care of something. Maybe it's as simple as putting on, some of the extra pavement like they're doing on some of our streets right now, or a barrier, but I think that we need to do the same thing, as far as passing a resolution to see if we can do a study, if it doesn't cost us anything. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any other comments or anybody has any questions? Okay, Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the law director. Ms. Deary, I see that these are going to go to utilities. Since these are kind of pending or being, looked at, can we put them in pending items for utilities? Or do they need to go to utilities?
I would think, through you, Mr. Chair, and to you, Madam Chair, as the Chair of Utilities, I think that would be your call, if you'd like them to go into pending items.
Let's put them in pending items until we have a resolution, or at least get more information, if we may. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's excellent. Then, seeing how this issue is a little bit different because it's actually a safety, not for sound, I guess I'll ask the law director, then you wouldn't have an issue with us, passing a resolution on this topic.
To be clear, I don't have an issue with passing a resolution on either topic. I just want to let you know, since there is one already in effect on the issue of the sound barrier, I don't know that it's legally necessary to pursue what you're looking to pursue as far as the sound barrier. For the safety barrier, yes, by all means, if you'd like to pass a resolution, it'd just be a matter of specifically what you would like the resolution to say.
Okay. And I think maybe Mr. Tollett, when he's in discussion with Representative Manning, okay, kill two birds with one stone. There you go. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, oh yeah, Mr. Oswald, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I was just what Ms. Mitchell was saying. Should we? I don't know if we have to do the resolution now until we get the information. I can give her more information when we have our utilities meeting. If it would go there, can we pass a resolution at that point when I have more information for her?
I kind of like that idea. I'll see what Law Director Deary says.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, either committee can put through a committee report for the resolution. It doesn't necessarily have to go back to both community development and utilities. Again, that would be up to the individual committees, but either one of them on its own could put through the report to full council to pass the resolution.
Okay. All right. So at this time, why don't we have this come back on the 31st, both items. By then, Mr. Tollett may have some information for us. I believe he will. And then we'll take it from there, and we'll see what our best course of action would be. Okay. Appreciate all the input, good suggestions, good dialogue. Thank you, Mr. Oswald, for bringing these two items forward. Currently, there's no other items on the CD agenda, so I would accept a motion to adjourn CD. Oh, I am so sorry. I got to make a resolution not to move on so fast. We have to do a joint meeting. I'm so sorry. I thought I was going to be out of here. I know.
Mr. Chair, I'll call finance to order.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Did you want
I'll take your lead. My name is Vic Stewart. I'm the Chairman of the Finance Committee, and I'll have the others on this committee introduce themselves.
Phil Tolet, at-large Vice Chair.
Brenda Davis, Second Ward Council.
Chad Schneider, at-large.
Jack Sarah, 7th Ward.
And that consists of the committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stewart. 3 items on the agenda for the Community Development and Finance Committees. Approval of the December 13th minute meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Sarah.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item is the matter of the Housing Revolving Loan Fund Administrative Agreement, referred to by Community Director Scott.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So the revolving loan fund, this agreement is a requirement with the state of Ohio as part of our Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program. Basically, what it is the city is required to deposit any program income that it receives from this specific program into a different account. So what the agreement is stating that the city is going to do that and that we will abide by the rules. Any program income that is received through this has to go back into the same activity. So our CHIP program is our, private owner rehabs. So any funds that would go into this account are to do additional private owner rehabs. So I'm going to ask that this be passed on an emergency because this agreement is due back to the state on January 21st.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none? Okay. I'll read the committee report for community development. We've approved the Housing Revolving Loan Fund Administrative Agreement, and this would be passed on an emergency. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by
Mr. Davis.
what she's
Davis.
finance. We have to have
Community Development, Tom.
Okay, we have to do CD.
I'm finance.
That's right. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's the first meeting of the year. We're all able to make a couple of mistakes.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Motion was made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Lippian.
I'm sorry.
Question on the motion.
Call for the question.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Could I get a motion from finance?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by
Second.
a bunch of people, second by Mr. Sarah.
Now I
Is
get
there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
We have an aggressive, eager group here. We're gonna get a lot done. Okay. One more item, folks, for this joint meeting is the matter of the comprehensive plan for planning and zoning code update. Assistant Director Calvert.
Good evening. A comprehensive land use plan is a long-term planning document or process that really helps inform the city how to make investment in its community and meet community needs over the long term. So typically, a comprehensive land use plan looks out 20 years and is renewed with a less robust update every 5 years to make sure you're still on the same path. So it takes a look at where we are today, the current state of where the city is, where our infrastructure is, where our market opportunities are, where development's happening, and then it projects into the future with community input, with market information, with some, expertise on projected analytics on where we're going to be 20 years from now. And it really serves as a guide to help inform decisions like you don't want to tear up a road you just paved 2 years ago, those kinds of things. It helps identify with community input what the needs are for the community and make sure our actions are in alignment. It makes things like applying for grants much easier because it shows and demonstrates that we've thought these things through, that we have a vision in mind as a community, and we know where we're headed. So keeping in mind that these documents or this process is usually a 20-year span, based on our internal research here, the most current plan we can find on file is from 1972. So it, obviously, the city has changed quite a bit since 1972. It's basically the, 50-year anniversary of our last land use plan. So we are requesting that we have permission to go out to bid for that. One of the most important things I think that comes out of the comprehensive plan is it informs zoning. So a lot of times we see piecemeal or what's referred to as spot zoning. So you see those come across your desk all the time. We're asking you to zone one parcel in the middle of what used to be a residential neighborhood for a commercial use. And those are the kinds of things that are a little bit, quite frankly, some of them are obsolete and some of them are conflicting because we've been piecemealing this together probably since the 1950s. So I actually asked Mr. Farkas to join us today so he could give you some very specific examples of how it disrupts the zoning process, and then so you can just know a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Dawn. Mr. Chair, through you, I've completed some research in the zoning code. The zoning code is antiquated. It has, in fact, been, I call, hodgepodged over the years. The most recent general provision update in the zoning code was made in 1997. That was 25 years ago. Many things have changed. Zoning districts have adjusted. Businesses are being diversified. They're changing their aspects in regards to what they plan to do. For instance, we have storage facilities. We have no specific definition for an outside storage facility. It technically calls for it to be inside, similar to the new U-Haul by the Olive Garden. This doesn't address what's most commonly being requested for outside storage. I'm being asked over the past year and a half for spaces for outside storage containers. The shipping containers you see on large vessels, these seem to be quite popular and people want to put outside storage in that. Our zoning code does not address that. Another request, believe it or not, I've been getting quite often is for tiny homes. Tiny homes, if you've watched the TV programs, are like little sheds. People want to live out of these. Our zoning code does not address anything to do with tiny homes, nor does it prohibit it unless it's in a trailer park district. I've had to, over the years, make decisions based on what I do have to work with to say, unfortunately, this does not fit. You have to put this in this type of district, but I have no specific code section to point to. I'm not quite accustomed to that. As being the building official, I have specific sections that I point out. Other changes that conflict are also with our design review package. Our design review package contradicts itself with our zoning code. Two different languages, and Ashley and I are constantly presenting to Planning Commission, they need a waiver, they need a variance. And these are changes I would love to see upgraded. The last thing I'd like to address is, for specifics, is the light industrial district. The light industrial district governs storage of specific material, but it doesn't address anything outside. It says specifically you can have storage, but in the same sentence, it has to be conducted wholly, entirely inside a building. It contradicts itself. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit what we're doing currently. So with that, the last revision I had looked at was something in our contractor registration was from 1957. It is so outdated, it does not fit anything of what the code requires. I just think a complete overhaul would absolutely be a positive influence.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, obviously this is long overdue from all angles of it. I see that, two questions. The budget is anticipated to be estimated $200,000. Where would that be coming from at this particular time? Would this be coming out of what line item? Ted, has that been discussed with you at this particular time or not really?
Through you, Mr. Chair, or to you, through you, whatever. It would probably come out of the general fund.
Okay.
Much like, whenever we update the codified ordinances, that comes out of the general fund, so this would be a general fund item.
Okay. And then moving forward, what do you anticipate timeline on completing something like this once you go out for the request for proposals and getting this into the queue? Because obviously time is of the essence.
This is a big undertaking. This takes several months, a
Right.
year plus to go, because we're going to be holding several community engagement events and forums over time. There's
Right.
quite a bit of research that has to go into it. You have to review all of that code and ordinances that govern everything. So I know that the city of Lorraine, it actually took them 2 years to complete theirs. I know that was because there was an administration change in the middle of it too. But it is a lengthy process.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So we hire a consultant. The consultant will help with the language and also the writing or the revision of all the zoning codes and stuff?
Yes, it is a group effort. There definitely will be a city leadership team, which could include members of city council, the city staff, a large number of city staff. Definitely the law department as well as planning commission will all be involved in the process, but it would be led by a consultant.
Okay.
Or
Thank you.
actually, a lot of times you see multiple consultants with different areas of expertise within the process.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Ms. Calvert. So this is interesting to me because this is right up my alley, what I've been dealing with all these fun times. But how are you going to choose some of the community people to maybe sit on these committees to give input and be ruled by those consultants? I think the input of people that are in the city is going to really help with the outcome of what you draw up right now. Thank you.
I agree. So we'll put together a task team, a project team in-house that'll look at all angles and see who really has the capacity and the willingness and some knowledge to serve on that core team. But the feedback will be open to the entire community. We want as much community input and feedback as we can get. One thing I neglected to say that I think is important is that this plan does not negate other plans. So it actually coordinates them all together. So I don't want anyone to feel like the Parks Master Plan wouldn't be a part of this comprehensive plan. We would bring them all together, merge them, and make them more cohesive through this comprehensive plan.
Mr. Schneider?
Through you, Mr. Chair. From being on the Planning Commission for 5 or 6 years, I see the value in this. There's been numerous things that should be a no-brainer, but unfortunately, it wasn't up to date, so we'd have to, call a meeting, vote on it, so on and so forth. So I do see the value in updating this.
I agree. Any other questions? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I guess what I was going to say is every time I want to make a change, somebody says, my lawyer down there, she says, you can't write a law or an ordinance for something for one person. But what they're doing, there should be something wrote. But I think that when you have these community events where they would come, hopefully people would show up and give some input. I can imagine there would be a slew of things that they feel should be changed or should be handled, because I know I've got a few on my hand right now, and if we could get them changed. The problem is when we sit here up these chairs and we get calls from people that say they have a complaint because of, I'm just going to use the pod. And then Mr. Farkas will say, well, Kenny, we don't have a law for that. And I'm like, Ms. Deary, let's write a law. Kenny, you can't write a law for that one person. Yeah, but it's a good law. You can't do that. So you're in between a rock and a hard place. We're trying to help out our citizens, and they've got a problem, one person. Does that mean that we shouldn't do anything for them? So I think we need to get this done as quick as we can. Thank you.
All right, and then when we do it, we want to have it done right. So I think time is, in getting everybody involved and getting feedback is excellent. Excellent. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of a comprehensive plan for planning and zoning code update. This would be an ordinance approving the said planning and zoning code update. Can I get a motion from Community Development?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Oswald,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Schneider.
Call for the question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Can I get a motion from Finance? So moved. Moved by Mr. Tolet. Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion? Question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Well, that was a good meeting tonight. I want to thank everybody. Appreciate it. There's no further business for community development. Now we can adjourn the community development portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Mrs. Mitchell, second by Mr. Schneider.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
All right, we're going to continue on with Finance. First on the agenda is the approval of the Finance meeting minutes for December 13th, 2021. Can I get a motion? So moved. Moved by
Second.
Mr. Tolet, second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion? Question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Number 2, we consider the matter of inactive delinquent public utility accounts, a resolution authorizing said accounts to be certified to Lorraine County Auditor's Office per the attached. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor? So moved. Moved by Mr. Tolet,
Second.
second by Ms. Davis. Safety Service Director Brubaker.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you, this is our standard monthly request to have our inactive delinquent accounts certified to the Auditor's Office for liens on property.
Right, standard procedure that we do. We're just getting into the queue over there. Is there any further discussion with it? Question. Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Third item on the agenda, to consider the matter of engaging the law firm of McDonald Hopkins LLC as a special counsel for 2022 economic development projects. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter a contract with said law firm at the amount of not to exceed $200,000. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor? So moved. Moved by Mr. Tolet.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion? Law Direct, Mr. Oh, you can take it? Sorry. Ms. Deary, if you want to just kind of weigh in on it?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. As many of you know, the law firm of McDonald Hopkins has done quite a bit of work as a special counsel for the city in the past year and a half or so. They are continuing to do so, and I believe they will be picking up the pace in the next actually several weeks. Attorney Teresa Beasley has been here on several occasions. Also, Attorney Amanda Gordon, both are of that firm. This is their engagement terminated with the calendar year, and so we're just looking to pick that back up for the year 2022. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Law Director Deary? Any questions in regards to what's being brought before us?
I'll call for the question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Director Deary. Item number 4. To consider the matter of finding the city has a 2011 Ford F-350 truck that is unfit for public use and no longer needed. Can I get a resolution authorizing the City Service Director to declare said city property unfit for public use and no longer needed?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have that again? Mr. Schneider made the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sayre. Is there any further discussion? Safety Service Director Brubaker.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll actually defer to Mr. Corzan, as this is his piece of equipment vehicle.
Mr. Corzan, you snuck over there. I didn't see you. Mr. Corzan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wastewater plant does have a 2011 Ford F-350 pickup truck. This used to be our service truck for the lift stations until it was taken out of service at the end of last year when we received the new truck. And we couldn't wait to get the new truck. This old one, it's basically rusting to pieces. The engine needs to either be replaced or have a complete overhaul. You can't keep oil in it, and it took us a long time to get the new truck, but we were glad to get it. So at the request of the city fleet manager, we are looking to dispose of this by the best way possible. Right now, I believe he's looking at going to govdeals.com to see what we can get out of it, and we'll try to get the most we can for it.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Corzan? Law Director Deary?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, just for purposes of drafting the legislation, Mr. Corzan, you said that you believe that you'll be using govdeals.com?
That's one possibility.
Or the best means available, Mr. Brubaker?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the law director. Yes, it's by best means. It's whatever we can get the best dollar for.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Tolet?
Through you, Mr. Chair, and this is for the new council members. They'll put this vehicle on gov.com and try to auction it off first, and they'll start where we can get the most amount of money and work their way down to get rid of it. You know, sometimes with vehicles, it could come to going to the scrap yard being the best and the highest value. So just, there's multiple ways that we look at it. We just don't have one source of getting rid of. So, thank you.
Mr. Tolet, is there any further discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. So this next item is the companion that goes with it as far as the ordinance goes. We consider the matter of finding the city has a 2011 Ford F-350 truck that is unfit for public use and no longer needed. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to declare said city property unfit and to be disposed of by the best means possible. Can I get a motion to get on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Tolet.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sierra. Is there any other questions in regards to this?
Question.
Questions have been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. There is an agenda item on the number 5. Is there any appropriation changes?
There are not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So with that being said, Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sierra,
Second.
second by Mr. Tolet. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.